You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Good day. Welcome to the Mushie moment for today, August 29th, 2023. Yes, it is me, Reverend Cindy. Yes, I seem to be hostessing the show alone. And that is because today my guest is my co-host. And of course, I forgot to tell you that we're streaming all over the place on Pace Radio Net and cbgtv.com. Silly me. Normally, my co-host does that chatting, and I didn't even look at my notes, which I have right in front of me. But that's just the way it is. I am home again. I got home here last Tuesday, driving as podcasts were playing or being skipped, and I got Mary Lou in to the doctor, so to speak. And it turns out she only needed front shocks and a headlight. Not bad. Because it was pretty much it wasn't a sight unseen. I got to see it before I bought it, but I didn't get to drive it. I didn't get to, test run it, etc. So I'm very happy that my gamble worked out. I'm very pleased. And so now I'm back home in Windsor, Nova Scotia, trying to get back into the balance of things. And it's harder than I thought. But I have been getting there. Today has been a pretty good day. I'm less tired. I feel like I'm more jet lagged after a drive across the country than I was when I fly across the country or fly home. It's been hard to readjust. But on with today's show. The last number of weeks, minus a couple of shows, we have been chatting with Steve's daughters and Steve's ex-wife. About addiction. Steve's daughters are active fentanyl addicts, and we chatted with them about their story and what it's like. Then we chatted with Marnie about what it's like to be the mom in all of this, and then some of her backstory. And I am very honored that my co-host has agreed, with much poking and prodding by me, to come along and be guest number 4 in this little series that we're doing. It really didn't start off this way, but I'm really excited that it has continued this way. We get to see the family's perspective on what happened. And it's been pretty emotional so far, talking with Katie and Jesse and Marnie. And I have no doubt that we should all have our Kleenexes ready for today's show as well. So without further ado, I would like to bring on and welcome and introduce my guest, Mr. Steve Mather. Welcome, Steve.
Good day.
Good. It's been a while.
This seat.
I was going to say, it's been a while since I've had you in the hot seat.
Yeah. This will be. It's kind of funny because really it's to me it's kind of funny because these last few shows have been eye-opening, healing, really that's what I got. They've been eye-opening and healing.
Yeah.
And,
because you've gotten a chance to sit here and be the interviewer with your daughters, and yes. there was a lot said.
Yes, and I got to realize, how comfortable they are with me as their father, and that that sets the heart in a good place.
Yeah.
And even with Marnie coming on, and it's nice. There's we may be a broken family, but at least we're still a family or trying, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So we got to hear from your daughters about their life in their words. When it started for them, the dog attacks, what happened there, and then their ups and downs since then. And I'm excited to have them on, in the future as life goes on for them and we can get updates. But why don't you tell me what it was like being their dad?
Where do we want to start from on that?
Well, we went back to the beginning with the girls.
Okay. Like, do we want this section here? We want this section to be about the spot that's the father of the girl.
Father
person.
The father of watching what happened with your girls and how it affected you. Advice, of course, like, I mean, like, we asked the girls advice for other people. We asked your ex-wife advice for, other moms, so I would, reach that question to you too. What would you tell other parents in a similar situation as they're learning, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, what was it like for you as you were trying to help them in the beginning?
Heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. It was tough. It was incredibly emotional. In the beginning, they were because they were good kids, right? Identical twins. They're good kids. They're brothers, only like 16 months, 18 months younger than they are. They were a Three Musketeers trio that, did a lot of stuff together and up until grade 10, it's honor roll and everything's good. And then all of a sudden, some things kind of start changing. All of a sudden somebody gets kicked out of school and then this goes on. It's like, okay, hey, what's going on here? But honestly, by the time they were graduating, I was going, okay, there's some stuff here that we don't have a handle on, and it's a lot deeper and darker than we think it is. And then after they graduate, it just kind of gets a little deeper and darker, to the point of I don't know, because we grow up with programming on television and programming in our lives, and we think certain things. And having traveled with rock bands and been involved in a world of drugs and alcohol and all that kind of stuff, you think some stuff about addiction and drugs and alcohol. And really what I learned is I didn't know sweet fuck all, to be honest. I knew nothing. And I knew that the programs that we get, they're bullshit. They're bullshit. The program we get is, if somebody has a problem, you just it's gotten a lot different now because, we've been involved with this 10 years now. So in the beginning, the opioid crisis was about to explode. It was happening, but it was about to explode. And when you start to notice somebody having problems, you go, oh, well, we got to have that talk, and then you go and have the talk. And the talks are from days long gone by when the drugs weren't quite as strong and refined and brutal, and the opioids weren't so targeting on everything. So, the talk is valid and it has its place. But some of the addictions are instant and super fucking strong. And words are just blah, 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 blah. So, we tried having talks, and we got the yeah-yeahs and the blah-blahs, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And, there was... there was discussions about having interventions. We'd already had a couple of talks.
Okay, so I'm gonna interrupt here because what timeline are you at now? When you say we, I assume that you're talking about yourself and Marnie?
Yes, because Marnie and I started to talk ourselves because we were noticing things. And I would phone and ask questions. Hey, have you noticed this? Have you noticed that? And then it would be,
and at this point in time,
so this is after graduation, but before the dog attack.
So 17, 18-ish.
18 going into the 19.
Okay.
It's not so brutal, but there's some weirdness going on. Right? There's weirdness going on. And then by the 19, once the alcohol is involved and the 19th birthday is going on, and then it just goes whole hog and worse. But you want to believe the blah 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 that comes back, because they're your kids, and you want to believe that they're not going to lie to you, right? You want to believe them, but a lot of the blah blah blahs, blah blah blah, it's just bullshit. And the addiction just got worse. I have to say, when the dog attack happened, they were already in addiction. Yes, that was already happening. We were already having discussions.
Yeah, and they both when we interviewed them admitted that it started with OxyContin at parties.
Yes. Yeah, and then even at that point with the dog attack, it's still OxyContin, the fake oxys that they're just crushing up and snorting at that point. It doesn't become shooting for a bit. But, in that part, my brain is scrambling because I'm thinking through the stuff that I know and what the community I've been through, and I'm asking people questions and getting different responses and getting referred to other people to ask other questions, because I really don't know what to do here, because I can see that it's still getting worse. And, I can see that it's still getting worse. So, I start to try harder. And
so at this point in time, you're still thinking, because I mean, like, I've known you for a while, and I, we've chatted personally about how your thoughts changed over the years and how you dealt with things, both, in your head and in your heart over the years. But at this point in time, you're still thinking that Dad can fix shit.
Oh yeah. I'm thinking, I got this, not a problem here. So, I'm trying to fix shit, but it isn't getting fixed. Now, my timeline, I've documented a lot of it, but I just off the top here, my timeline is a little foggy. By the time the dog attack happens, they've already done a couple of detoxes, I believe, because the first thing we think is, just Katie is, she's the first one. And it's not till a lot later that we finally realize that Jesse's doing the same thing, but going, have you seen Katie? And then we look at Katie and go running for Katie. And meanwhile, Jesse's in the corner just as high. But I'm just trying to think. Yeah, they're high as fuck in some of the videos I have of them at the house there before the dog attack. So they're full on. They're full on in addiction before the dog attack happens. So yes, they've already been to a couple of detoxes, or Katie has been to a couple of detoxes at that point. And the first one, you figure, oh, they go, they get detox, they come back, and then we start life and everything's good. And no, the reality is they come out of detox and the drugs have been so strong, and they've whatever made them want to do the drugs is still there because nothing's been worked on, and the thought processes are all the same, the patterns are all the same, the environments are all the same, the triggers are all the same, and the drug using becomes all the same.
Yeah.
So you go through a couple of those, and then you go, why, what the, and then you got to learn next level, which is like, oh yeah, if they don't have a place to go after the detox, well, I'll take 7 days clean anyway. But if they don't have a place to go, you won't probably get much more than those 7 days.
Yeah.
With some drugs, you will. But honestly, I don't think so with fentanyl. I don't think that shit is just way too strong, man. Especially the crap they got now with the benzos. You can't even really detox the person off it as you would just off of opioids.
Yeah.
They can just have seizures and it's just brutal. But at that point, again, I'm still thinking, and I'm not really reaching out to anybody at this point because I'm thinking, yeah, I got this, no problem. We won't, and then it gets worse, and then the dog attack happens, and the dog attack's a brutal one for me. That really is. It's changed my New Year's.
Yeah.
That happened over a New Year's. So one day, hopefully they'll be a little more cheery. But at this point, it's it was a rough time. It was a rough time. I had to gig. I couldn't be there. I believe I've told this on part already.
Yeah. In personal chats. Yeah. You were.
Yeah. I'm stumbling for words. That's not very often.
It's. I know you were working. You couldn't get anybody to cover for you, and you didn't know until New Year's Day, until the next day, how bad it was. Nobody reached out.
Basically, the posts came across the news feeds of everything. And
so you knew that they had been bit by a dog, but you didn't realize that they had been injured.
Yeah, and Katie almost bled out. Like her Jesse's is bad, right? Like, don't get me wrong.
Jesse's was horrendous. Yeah,
50 tears in your body that require stitches is freaking bad. Katie's, we're talking, more than double that, and she almost bled out. So they're both, as far as I know, it was one of the worst dog attacks in Canada that the people lived. I was told that during the time period. So
and that was how many years ago now?
I think that's 2016. I think.
That's only been 7 years.
Yeah.
That hasn't been long at all.
No, well, it's and for me, it's clearing up stuff. Like New Year's are clearing up as I heal, as I get through. Because healing is just finding the triggers, getting rid of the emotions attached. So when we go to that subject, like I'm sure you guys, anybody watching and yourself, when we get there, you can see that I'm triggered in there. I think about the event, and there's emotions that happen with it, and my healing comes from not being hyper emotional to it, which would be my normal or my old response going here. But you know, that particular moment of what happened, I woke up in the morning to a news feed that was just full of news stories of my kids being ripped apart by a dog. And the news, you know, they tend to sensationalize things because that sells news. But when you're the father and you wake up in the morning and you know your kids have been, you know, torn apart, and you wake up and that's all that's on your feed, it can jolt your heart a little bit, and you know, it can bring a lot of tears, and it did. It you know, even going over this, I've told the story a few times, and even going over it, it tends to bring tears. But you know, thank you for allowing me again another moment to speak it, because every time I speak it, the emotionality comes down, the trigger becomes less, and I get one step closer to being healed from that particular moment of trauma. Because through this addiction period, there are specific moments of trauma. One of my first moments is actually before that, and that's I believe we talked about it one time as well. But it's the one where I'm in the studio with my buddy, and we're working on some music, and I get a call, and they're Jessie. Well, both my daughters talked about it in theirs as well. I get a call in the studio, and it's from a security guard in the shopping mall, and he says, "We've got your daughter here." And I go, "Oh, what's going on?" And he goes, "She's overdosed." And this is one of the, you know, the first times I get contacted about an overdose. They've had them, but I haven't been there or been subject to seeing it or hearing it real time. And but I knew they'd gone to the mall together, so I said, "Where's her sister?" And they said, "What sister?" And I said, her twin sister. "If she's overdosing, her sister is overdosing." They said, "Well, hang on, we'll see if you can talk to her." And they put the phone on speakerphone, and then I kept going, "Jessie, it's Dad, Jessie." And then she would kind of become a little coherent, and then I'd ask questions about Katie and where they were and what they were doing, and then they just sent a bunch of security out to find Katie. They'd been in washrooms, so I guess they went around checking all the washrooms, and they did end up finding her. But at that moment, I kind of was in the studio. I said, I have to
I got you. It's okay.
I have to go outside and take this call. So I go outside, and I'm just outside, kind of in the front yard. And we're on the phone now. I'm only at this studio for another hour or so, and then I have to head out. This is in Kitsilano in Vancouver, and then I have to drive out to another gig that I'm doing as an audio technician. That's an 8-hour shift that there's no way I can get out of at this point in time. And it's a, you know, specialized audio gig with digital gear, and it's just not going to happen. So I'm kind of melting down in the front yard as I'm getting them to keep the phone by Jessie, and I keep trying to get her to become coherent enough to ask questions. And then I hear first responders show up, and they get talking, and they get talking to Jessie, and they get talking to me, and we're talking about Katie. And then I hear, we found her sister," and then the phone goes dead. So I try calling back, and it just goes busy, and I try calling back, and it just goes busy. And I have a little bit of a meltdown, and I don't finish the studio session but it's okay. And I'm a little stressed, so my buddy makes sure that I get to my other gig on time. Now, in my heart, all I want to do is I want to run to the hospital, because this is the first time I'm encountering this. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go to my gig. I'm going to call on my break and see if I can get a hold of somebody, because at this point I know they've found Katie. It's all in the past and it's good.
It's in the past and you know she was okay.
Isn't that funny how the emotional content just drags forward with the memory?
It does.
And it's breathe and let it go. And again, thank you for allowing me these moments to be able to let this go. But in that moment, I don't know whether Katie is alive.
Yeah.
So where you just witnessed me being, I'm at least 20 times worse than that in that moment. And I have to go to work. So I go to work and I'm working and I'm doing my gig and I'm, being the audio guy. Yeah. Ooh, it's all good. Yeah. And then on my break, I run outside and I make a call. And I get nothing. And then I get a call and it's Jessie. Oh my God. And I answer the phone. And I go, Punky. And she goes, Dad, they're following us. Now I'm thinking she's going to be in the hospital, right? This is my first time experiencing this. My girls have just overdosed in a shopping mall. They don't, at that point, they don't know whether they're going to live or die, and they're rushing them to the hospital. Now, I hear my daughter go, they're following us. And I go, who's following you? And she goes, security. And I go, where are you? And she goes, at the mall. And I go, what mall? Because in my head, I'm thinking, you're at the hospital. And she goes, Metrotown. And I go, what are you doing there? And she goes, well, Katie and I came to Metrotown. And I said, yeah. And then you overdosed and went to the hospital. And she goes, yeah, and they Narcaned us and let us out. And I went, oh, well, security is following you because a few hours ago you overdosed and they sent you to the hospital in an ambulance. Maybe you should go home. And she said, okay, we'll go home. And I said, that's a good idea. I have to go back to work now. So when I'm done, I'll call you at home. And they said, okay. And then I went to work. And honestly, whatever happens in the rest of that wasn't loud enough for me to remember it. So it must have been okay.
Okay. And you know what? That actually brings us to a good point to go for a quick break. So it's break time. And this means it's time to hear from our sponsors and pay some bills. You are watching Mushie Moment live here on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Boxcast, CBG TV, and Pace Radio Networks. We'll be right back.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com. CBG TV, broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Find us at cbgtv.com.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor. If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
PACE Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
Legacy 420 have an awesome array of cannabis-infused beverages, from pop to Nature's Nectar's teas, all in amazing flavors. What a selection! We even have a delicious mango-infused juice, and let me tell you, it's delicious.
Everything is infused in-house, so we buy our syrup from the same place where everybody else buys their syrup for their pop, and the infusion is done in the lab. It's all canned here, labeled here, produced 100% on Tyndonega.
We have two lines of drinks. One is called our Nature's Nectar. That was our original line that we came out with, and then we also have a line under the Red E brand. We have them in 10 milligrams, 30 milligram, and 60 milligram cans.
What a great selection for a get-together with friends or after a long day. Remember, if you want to wet your whistle with on-site lab-tested products, come see your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Welcome back to the Mushie Moment. We are live here at paceradio.net and cbgtv.com, streaming all over the place: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Boxcast, Roku, I'm rolling a joint, and Fire Stick TV. I have been sitting here chatting with Steve Mather about being the dad to two girls, twins, actually, who end up fighting the disease of addiction. Welcome back, Steve. Thank you for hopping from the co-host chair to the guest chair. I think this is a very important. I think it's a very important interview in the series that we ended up doing. It wasn't even planned. It just kind of happened. So thank you so much. It's kind of
neat, actually. It's kind of neat. It's it wasn't really a planned thing, but I have a feeling that exponentially over time, the information within these podcasts is going to help a lot of people, actually.
Yeah. I think it. I think this series is offering, a look at the family, and I think families will get a lot out of this. Yeah. So, we just talked about the mall.
Yeah. So, yeah. And, that's the first big wham, like, to the heart, and don't know whether they're going to be alive, don't know whether they're dead, don't know what's going to happen, and you know, it's that's probably my first real emotional roller coaster on that particular ride.
Yeah.
And then after that, because after that, you know, after that's when I'm kind of talking to him going, hey, you know, we need to address some of this stuff. We've got to try and fix this. There's some problems going on here. You both have issues. Now, through this, you know, there's Jessie, you know, ends up having our grandson, having her son. And, you know, through a lot of this addiction period, he's witnessing a lot of it. Through a lot of the beginning period, not just the girls, but his father is also in addiction. And they're in a crowd, you know, that's in around that environment. And it's a little rough. There's a few times that, you know, his mother has to step in and interfere with our grandson. There's a few times that myself and Marnie have to step in and interfere with our grandson. There's you know, there's a period where we just go, no, you don't get to keep him when you're being like this. It's not in his best interest, and we can't allow it. And neither Marnie nor I, you know, could look after him at the time, and his father's mother, his other grandmother, stepped in right away and was like, oh, I'm there and on it, and you know, looking after him, and of course Marnie and I are kind of thinking, well, hey, we'll go save him, you know. And there's more recovery houses, not recovery houses at this point, it's detoxes. And they're, you know, well, we're going to find our own places. They've already lost the place by this point. And they're talking about moving into Katie's boyfriend's place. And they start hanging out there, and I show up a few times. And the dog is there, and I actually pin the dog. I grab the dog by the collar one point, and I pin it to the ground, and I hold it till it submits. And I get right in its face, and I'm growling at the dog. It's like, no, I watched him walk up and bump Jaden. And I just grabbed him and went, no, because he'd done a couple little things already. And with dog behavior, you got to watch certain things. A dog isn't comfortable till it knows its place in the pack. And whoever is the alpha male in the environment needs to teach the animal that it's lower in the pack than anybody that's invited into that house. If they've been welcomed into that house, you're lower in the pack, and you keep those people safe. Right? Now, this dog had a tendency to challenge. And I'd actually said, within a couple of days, when Jessie had talked about moving in there, Katie was staying there already. She was kind of moved in and staying there. And, you know, Jessie was talking about maybe getting a room there. Somebody was moving out, and she was going to get a room with Jaden. And I said, you're not staying there with Jaden. There's no way. Won't allow that to happen, not with that dog like that. And it's not long after that. It's within a few weeks that the dog attack happens, actually.
Yeah, which was terrifying. I mean, I get just terrified every time. You know, every time I've heard the girls talk about it or you talk about it, I couldn't imagine being them.
Read some of the stories. Just go in and because they sensationalize too, and honestly, what was there really to sensationalize? The dog ripped her arm up, Katie's arm apart, ripped her bicep off, you know, chewed her legs apart, then chewed them apart again, chewed Jessie's legs apart. Like, you don't have to expand on it. It's bad enough. The the police officer that showed up that covered Katie up so that Yogi couldn't bite her anymore while the other one was shooting, you know, she ended up having to take time off because of the trauma of almost watching Katie bleed out. Right? The older gentleman that I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. You'd think it would be on the tip of my tongue. You know, I had to go and thank him. He got his hand chewed up trying to save Katie, and you know, that there was a lot of shit happened. That was my first experience with trolling on the internet too, because you know the news stories come out and then people troll and actually when they first came out, they were being touted as heroes because my grandson didn't get a bite, not one. They stopped him from getting bit, which is why they got their legs demolished, right? But they were being touted as heroes, and then they found out, the news found out that they were addicts. And then it just became about them being addicts. Now they weren't heroes. Now, the reason the dog attacked was because they were addicts. You know, what people forget, Katie was there when they picked that puppy up as a baby puppy. She knew that dog its whole life. She'd taken to that dog to the park many, many times. She loved that dog. And that dog did that to them. And she still loved the dog and fought to put him down after that dog almost killed her. She fought, you know, it took a lot before she finally said, yes, the dog needs to be put down.
Yeah.
And you know, one day she was looking at me while she was on the internet looking at all these, you know, she said, Dad, I thought some of these people were my friends. And they were just shredding her. And she said, you know what they don't know? They don't know that I loved Yogi too. I was there when he was a baby and a puppy. I raised him too. I loved him. And you know, they're saying things like, oh, I wish the dog would have killed you. They should put you down instead of the dog. Oh, some of the stuff, even some of the bullshit sites that did stories, it was brutal. Some of the racist stuff that was put in, it was brutal. And to begin with, I tried to battle the trolls.
Yeah.
You know, hey, trauma behavior, right? I'm jumping right into Superman mode. I can do this. Holy shit balls. No, I got pummeled and beat down, and I started to realize, wow, this is brutal. But then I went, you know what? I'm not going to put any words up. I just posted all the pictures of all of the wounds and the stitches and said, what, this isn't good enough for you? Them being alive with all these scars and these stitches and these wounds, that's not good enough? You actually wish they were dead? Really? It was kind of funny to watch some tides turn when that happened. You know, it was nice to know there was people out there that actually cared as well, because some people jumped on that. But I realized that trying to waste anything I was doing there was wasting time. There's no time to waste. When you're dealing with that kind of bullshit, there's no time to waste. And anything I was doing there was wasting time. So I let go of the trolls and tried to get focused on helping my daughters. You know, and one thing I talked them into was, you know, right in the beginning, before they were turned into brutal, while they were being heroes, I'd actually had them talked into going into a recovery place. They were like, yeah, we'll do it. And, you know, yeah, because it was good. And they'd be going to recovery and they'd be able to show some people that it would be good. And then the tide turned. And it turns really heavy. And I actually have a video of me. I saved it. It's the video of me. I should have had it for this, actually. I might have shown it to you. Did I ever play you the video of me in the middle of the meltdown where I just, I know that the news agencies, because we're just being hounded, literally hounded. And I know they're all watching because I see them make little statements, and they're things that I've said on my Facebook. So I know they're watching. So I post a video, and it's me in the middle of a meltdown, really. And I've watched it a couple of times. The first time I watched it, I bawled my eyes out. I go, wow, that dude is seriously broken. Like it's one of those moments. One day we'll play it maybe.
Okay.
But it's I posted up because it's like, hey, you know, you're killing my girls, and I'm trying to save them, and I almost got them there, and you're killing them, and you're killing my family. Just leave us the fuck alone. Just fucking leave us alone. And it starts to go viral, actually. It does like 800 shares in an hour. And my buddy sends me a message that my buddy Daryl sends me a message, and he says, hey, this isn't the mayhem I know. The mayhem I know, he doesn't do that. Pull that fucking video down and you become mayhem. He goes, the guy I know is way fucking stronger than that. So I pull the video down because I don't know. At this point, I don't know. I don't know what's right. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what I should do. I don't know what I shouldn't do. And I pull the video down because I realize, because he says to me, he's the one that says, it's going viral. It's had 800 shares already. And I look, and it's not even an hour, it's just going on an hour that it's been up. And I go, oh, okay, well, this will end up in the news. I better pull this down. So I pull it down. But I keep it because I'm a weirdo that way. But my buddy's words are enough to shift me out of my manic depression, because that's where I've gone. I've hit depression so bad that I'm in a mania in my depressive mode. And I honestly, I don't know whether it's dissociation at the time, because I remember, usually when I dissociate, I don't remember a lot of what's going on in there. Huh. Anyways, we get through that, obviously. And then from there, I gotta get us out of the environment. And my buddy is going up to the Yukon. He runs a gold mine up in the Yukon, and him and his wife go up there and work it through the winter, and they offer me their place. And so I take the girls out there, and I'm staying out there, and then I take the girls out there, and I figure I'll detox them, which I know Jesse and Katie both talk about this section in their thing as well. And, at this point, it's costing me $100 a day in bandages. It's, I'm detoxing them. I'm utilizing probably 3 to 5 grams of cannabis oil a day. whole extract, just shooting it into them, and letting them smoke some pot, and then go fall asleep, and then they'd sleep for hours, and I'd be watching them. I was always watching, and they would, they don't remember the heebie-jeebies of detoxing, but I watched the heebie-jeebies. Yeah, so I guess I picked a little bit of crap up there probably too. But, they say that's the nicest detox they ever had. And I detox them for a week. Now, you have to remember, they're full of holes. They've got the stitches. I've looking after the wounds, and I'm detoxing them off of fentanyl. But fentanyl is a painkiller, and fentanyl stops all pain. So I'm detoxing them with cannabis oil, not thinking about all of the holes in their body and the fentanyl. But they're not using the fentanyl, so all we're using is the cannabis oil, and we're at 5 days. Actually, we're at 5 days, and I decide I need to take them in to see the doctor because of the wounds. I just want to get all the wounds checked, and then I'll reload with bandages, and then go back and look after everything. So we go see the doctor, and the girls are in there, and he's going through and checking the stitches, and things are okay. And then I ask him if I can talk to him outside for a minute. So he comes out, and then I tell him I'm detoxing them off of the fentanyl with cannabis oil. And then he freaks out on me. And he explains to me that, fentanyl stops all the pain, and that their bodies are full of holes, and and that I can't detox them because I could actually kill them. And I go into fear. If I was further along in the journey, I would have gone, wait, I would have just said, yeah, okay, no, thank you, and kept doing what I was doing. Because we were already 5 days, and if they weren't feeling pain, then the cannabis oil was working. And, but I got scared. And well, he can't give me anything. So he tells me I got to go to the hospital. So I go to the hospital, and we get them some morphine. And then I go, well, that's only good for a couple hours. What do I do after that? And that's where they tell me, well, you got to try and get them on the methadone program, which is a whole nother level of learning. Now, everything's changed since back in this period, because at this point, there's only certain doctors that can prescribe methadone. And not every doctor, there's no, Narcan everywhere and this going on yet. So the doctor gives me a list of the methadone clinics. And it's just a sheet of paper, and it's got a whole batch of clinics. So I call a couple of them the next day, because, can't do nothing then. I call a couple the next day, and I'm getting nothing. So I look up the ones that are just the closest ones. And, excuse me. Oh. Okay, am I back in? There we go.
You're back in.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Came in. Sorry, I got sidetracked there.
No worries. You're going to the first methadone clinic.
Okay, there we go. So we go to the first methadone clinic, and we go in. I take my daughters with me, and I've got my phone loaded with the news stories of the dog attack. They're wrapped up in bandages and stuff, and Katie's using the crutch. We get into the first one. We get taken into a room, and we sit and have a meeting with the nurse first. And her eyes swell up with tears, and she goes, I'll go get the doctor, but honestly, I don't think there's anything we can do right now. And she goes and gets the doctor, and then the doctor sits in there, and we explain things, and I'm showing the pictures, and I'm begging for help. And at this point, I'm thinking it's possible. I'm thinking they're going to say, yes, look at this. Oh, this is a mess. We'll put your daughters on the methadone, and here we go. Things are going to get better. And then they tell us there's nothing they can do, that we have to call and get on a list, and then they will refer us to a doctor, and then that doctor can get us on the methadone, but it'll be 30 days before we can even get the appointment to see the doctor. So they are crying, and they hug my daughters and me, and we're all crying. And we leave. And I go, next. And I go to that. And I show up there. And we repeat the same thing. Now, the first doctor, not the methadone doctor, but the first doctor that gave me the list. And he told me that I couldn't detox the kids and he couldn't supply me anything. He said, well, you might have to take your kids and go pick up from their dealer and monitor them doing it until you can get them on the methadone. Well, the first methadone doctor kind of says the same thing. And the second methadone doctor says the same thing. So when the second methadone doctor says this, I say to him, if I take my daughters to pick up and one of my daughters dies, are you going to jail? Because I'm not going to jail because you're the one that told me I got to do it. So are you going to jail? And he kind of tears up. He says, we have to do what we have to do. And you have some hard choices. So we left there. And they phoned their dealer in Richmond. And we drove from Pitt Meadows to Richmond. They're lucky I was in depressive manic in the moment and not hyper-dissociated manic. Because that guy probably would have run right into that car that pulled up and killed somebody. But a guy showed up and they picked up, and it's funny because I'm observing in the medicines that I've been doing, in the healing I've been doing. Observing has been very big and been told to me lots. And in these moments where I'm having these emotional triggers, I'm observing myself. Just so you know, I'm observing myself having them, and in the observing of them comes the healing.
Yes.
So I thank you for the opportunity for this next level of healing. But I am observing quite a few things, and it's rather interesting.
Well, that's good. And with that being said, it's a perfect time to head into our second commercial. So it means it's now medication time. Yay! And that means it's time to hear from our sponsors and pay some bills. You are watching The Mushie Moment live here on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Boxcast, CBG TV, and Pace Radio Network. We'll be back in just a few minutes with part 3.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Canitex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to save the VCBC at gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
PACE Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com. CBG TV, broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Find us at cbgtv.com.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
And welcome back to Mushie Moment. We are here live at paceradio.net and cbgtv.com, streaming all over the place. Like you mean, seek and ye shall find. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Roku, Fire Stick, but just all over the place. We can. You can find us. I mean, if you search up paceradio.net, literally like the webpage, you'll find us there. So we are all over the place. Welcome back. We have been chatting with Steve Mather. We are talking about what it's been like to be the father to two girls,
of identical twins in addiction.
Yeah, and it's as Steve's friend, I've been able to watch him over the past couple of years. He's really there for his kids, and I've only seen the last little bit of it. So he has, where we've interviewed Katie and Jesse, Steve has agreed to come on and tell the dad side of the story, because it's an important side. Dads truly feel, and us as children feel that, dads are superheroes, and sometimes we can't fix everything as parents, and that's a hard one.
Yeah. It took me a long time to realize that I couldn't be Superman. Actually, it took a lot of stages of learning and getting kicked down. Like thinking, oh, well, they'll just get onto meth. Like now you can. Sorry, I'm just trying to get there we go, get my pivot thing fixed on my seat here. Now it's easier to get on different it's easier to get on methadone or Suboxone. It's harder to get into recovery now than it was then, actually. But it's everything you learn is just levels. You learn levels of things. People think that once they're on methadone or Suboxone, that's going to fix everything. No, it doesn't. It doesn't fix everything. There's a reason that people use a substance, and until if the substances are being used because of traumas, until the traumas are dealt with, then there's going to be issues. There's going to be something that's going to be a problem. And right now it's still a problem, but there's been the getting into recovery, and then the levels of recovery houses. That was the next thing we had to learn. Like, honestly, if in the beginning I was be careful what you wish for. In the beginning, I learned about Gabor Mate and his book In the Realm of the Hungry Ghost, and I digested that book, and I watched everything I could on him, and I learned everything I could there. And man, I was looking for help, and I ended up on the phone with him. But be careful what you wish for, because I wasn't ready to be on the phone with him. And I didn't know what I wanted to ask when all of a sudden I was on the phone with him. And he said something that was very profound. He said, "How much money do you have?" I said, "Not very much." And he said, "Healing from addiction costs a lot of money right now." And truly it does. And it's a weird, I'm trying to think of something to say to help a parent in my position. And the biggest thing I would say is hang on to hope, but prepare to have them dashed a lot. Because we think certain things. Oh, hang on a second. Mika. Oh, hang on. I think I have to let my dog outside for a minute.
Oh, okie dokie. We got it. So you're here chatting with Steve Mather. He has just gone to put his dog out. We are chatting about being the father of twin girls who are in active addiction, what he went through as he was finding out and as they were growing up. We are currently talking about, we were currently talking about how he was going from doctor to doctor, methadone doctor to methadone doctor. They suggested that he go to the girls' dealer and get some illicit drugs and use that to kind of microdose them and make sure they were okay, which is just kind of crazy. And then they started finding out about recovery homes. And I remember hearing this story, both from the girls and from Steve personally, and he went on the search for recovery homes to get them into. And, I've known the girls for a couple of years now, sort of. Met them personally here within the last year. And, I've watched the struggles, and that's been hard. They have both been in and out of a couple of crazy recovery homes that as they've both told us, they get stuff planted in their rooms so they can get kicked out, so the people that own these homes can get double the rent in a month. And that's just mind-blowingly gross.
Yes, there's people that take advantages of the situations out there. And it was funny because when Well, we haven't even hit this. Really, we haven't even hit the strip yet. Oh my. Okay. Well, what ends up happening is we're bouncing between the methadone places, and I realize that at the top of the paper is the College of Physicians and Surgeons. And I realize there's no sense driving to each of them, because all that's going to happen is, we're going to get told the same thing, and they're going to be crying, and we're just going to get told that we need to go pick up. So we come to Richmond, we pick up. We go home. I monitor them using, and I have to say that's a tough one. Yeah, that's a thing that I kind of go, no parent should really have to be subject to going to go pick up drugs for their kids and then monitor them using it, and having the Narcan waiting. Okay, are they going to be okay? Am I going to be Narcanning them? Like, what goes on now? And well, I kind of go, I'm not doing this again, and no parent should have to do this. And we've got a lot of news people that are hounding us for a story because, of course, the girls were in the news with the dog attack, and it's been a story. And I call the number at the top of the paper, and I just say, hey, this is me. I'm the father of these kids. You can Google them, look up the stories, but I'm not playing this game, and this is what I had to do, and it isn't going to happen again. And if I don't get my kids on methadone really quick, I'm going to give all of these companies here that are hounding us a story. So they get my kids on methadone. It's a little bit of a weirdness happening in that period, but they, within a couple of days, I've got my kids at this place, and they're on methadone. And I'm thinking, hey, this is going to be good. They're on methadone. And, so they get signed up for their methadone, and then I take them back home, and they got to go into town to get their methadone, because they got to go to this place. But the methadone makes them dopey and drugged up and as well. And but they're on methadone, and it's good, and they're healing now, and I've detoxed them, and now I can go to work again. So I start going to work. A couple hours. I'm out in mission, so it's a couple hours in. 8-hour day, couple hours back. Everything's good. I get home, girls are home. Methadone's working great. What I don't know is, they're hitchhiking into town, getting high, coming home before I get home.
Yep.
So after a bit, I kind of figure out something's going on. And then, we have the talks, and I'm a believer that, from the heart and love and talks and da-da-da. So I'm trying, and I realized, this isn't working. And I can't take it anymore. I'm frustrated. I'm mad. I'm working like a bastard, and I'm fucking tired. I'm tired. I'm just tired.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I'm being played, and I go, no more. You can't stay here anymore. I can't do this. So we find a recovery house that'll take them both in Surrey. This is our first end at a recovery house where we're going to drop them off. It's a recovery house that's going to take them both. And I go drop them off thinking, okay, well, you know, they're on methadone. They're in a recovery house. This things are going to get better. And they don't. You know, addiction is addiction. And if you don't deal with the cause of the addiction will continue to grow. So their addiction continued to grow. And at this point, you know, even when we're in mission, actually, when we're in mission is when I start. My buddy, his daughter, a buddy of mine that I grew up with, his daughter becomes a fentanyl addict as well. And she's a couple years younger than the girls. Well, 4 years younger, I guess. And we've got the girls on methadone, and they're going to be going to a recovery house. And we're thinking, well, maybe they can help my buddy's daughter. And him and I are going to these meetings of parents that have kids in addiction, and you know, we're chatting and holding each other up and seeing what we can do to, you know, to try and save our girls. And one day I get a call from him. Now, by this time, when I get his call, I've dealt with the girls overdosing a couple of times. And he calls and says, my daughter overdosed. My ex just called and my daughter's overdosed. What happens now? And I said, well, if it's like mine, they're going to get Narcan and sent home or let go. And then they'll just go use again. And he said, oh, I gotta go. She's calling back. And then he called me and he said, no, she died. And I said, what? And he said, she died. She's dead. And I said, no, that's not what happened. But yeah, it is what happens. And it happens for a lot of people. And it's happened to too many of my friends. And even with 10 years in the addiction run, I know I'm one of the lucky ones because mine are still alive. And I've met way too many that aren't. But his daughter passed away. And that shook me up. It shook him and his family up. It shook my daughters up. Didn't stop them from using. In fact, it gave them an excuse to go and use because they felt so bad that she passed away that they needed to get high. And so that one, that holds a special place in my heart. But his daughter was a beautiful girl, and she was young. And she would never want any of us to remember her in that depressive method.
No.
She was quite a funny young lady. She was talented, and she would want us to remember and honor her. in that way of just showing love. And so in this moment, I honor you, Guinevere. So after that, you know, I had the girls out in a recovery house. That was one of those ones they talk about where they, you know, might leave the crack on your pillow so that they get $1,000 a month for each person in there from welfare. And they'll have 10 rooms, and some rooms have 2 people in them. You know, if you're a couple, there's 2 of you in the room, but they'll have that house full, and then they try to get people to relapse so they can kick them out, because if they can kick you out within the first 2 weeks, they can keep that money and get somebody else in that the government will give them another $1,000 for. So if you got 10 people in there and you're making that $10,000 for the month, but you kick 5 or 6 of them out, you can make another $5 or $6 grand. And nothing against short clean times. But, you know, I asked at this one, I said, oh, yeah, because they had a den mother looking after the place. And I said, oh, yeah, what was your DOC? And she said, oh, I'm clean from crack. And I was like, oh, yeah, and how long have you been clean? And she'd been clean for 6 months. Which seems like a long time, you know, when you've been struggling with people in addiction for a long time. And later on, after my girls were kicked out of that house, I would, you know, within a couple of weeks, I would see that den mother picking up crack down on the strip. So, you know, whether she was clean or not, I don't actually know. But I know she wasn't within a couple of weeks of my girls getting kicked out of there. But we go through quite a few of those style of places. And there's a few of them. That I think that's it gets convoluted because there's so much goes on and I'm working long hours and not getting much sleep. So I'm fairly run down. And when they get kicked out of that place or the next one, they end up on the Surrey Strip, which is where a whole nother episode of chaos happens. Yeah. The Surrey Strip, Katie ends up doing a video there that goes viral and creates a whole nother chapter in our lives. But it actually gets them some real recovery. It's because of that video that they find a place that is real, you know, what I would call real recovery, where you're getting your proper food, you're getting proper medical, you're getting work with retraining patterns, retraining the brain, not so much trauma, but addiction work, and you're doing things like yoga. There was lots of therapy happening. There was lots to keep the mind busy, not just like, yeah, here you are in a house full of people that are used to being high, and everybody gets to sit here and watch a TV. Because that isn't an environment for anybody to heal. True.
No.
But when I find out they're kicked out of one of the places, or whichever it is, the first or the second, I believe they go into one together and then they end up going to two separate ones. And then Katie gets out of the one because they try to do an exorcism on her and she just has to get out of there. And then she calls Jesse and then they end up meeting up and just chaos ensues, addiction and chaos ensues. And then I get a call and we're down at the Surrey Strip. So I go looking for him. And I'm driving around. Now, I haven't been down there at this point. But I get down there and I go, oh, this is like the downtown east side, but out here in Surrey. Woo! Wow, look at all the homeless people and the tents and holy cow, the chaos and the addiction, mental health, like it's wow. So I'm driving around for a while and just zigzagging and checking everything out, looking for my daughters. I come driving down this little strip and there's a Legion, and out front of the Legion there's a big sitting area under a tree with a bunch of grass, and it's the parking lot around there. But this is, I don't know, it's a fairly big sitting area with a nice tree, and there's a bunch of people under the tree, and I look and I see my girls there, and I see Jessie, and she sees me and she jumps up and waves and smiles, and I wave and smile, and I don't know whether I'm smiling or ready to burst into tears, because I'm happy as hell because I found them, but I'm sad as hell because of where I found them. And I pull into the parking lot and there's, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, there's 8 of them, including my girl, 6 other kids there. One of them's playing a guitar. And my girls introduced me to everybody. And if I'm not mistaken, actually all of them are dead now. For sure 4 of them are. But the girls, Jessie goes, they're making light of stuff at this point, and they're trying. They're kind of positive people, and they try not to be negative, and they don't want to. They can see what's happening with me, so they don't want to hurt me. And Jessie goes, "Hey, Dad, this is so and so. He's playing guitar. It's kind of just like camping." And my heart's in the point of breaking, kind of right in there. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, yeah, this little moment here, I can see how you can think that, but this ain't like camping.
Yeah.
And I sit there for a bit, and then I ask them if they want to go get something to eat. So we drive out, and I get a pizza, and we go to Tim Hortons, and I get a box of coffee, and we come back, and we feed the kids, and have coffee, and we smoke a couple of joints, and then then they got to go get high, and I don't know what to do because I know I can't bring them home. But I can't leave them there either. But I gotta leave them there.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a good time for me to break in with our last break. It is break time, and it means it's time to hear from our sponsors and pay some bills. You are watching the Mushie Moment live here on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Boxcast, CBG TV, and paceradio.net. We'll be back in just over 3.5 minutes.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com. CBG TV, broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Find us at cbgtv.com.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor. If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
PACE Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
Legacy 420 have an awesome array of cannabis-infused beverages, from pop to Nature's Nectar's teas, all in amazing flavors. What a selection! We even have a delicious mango-infused juice, and let me tell you, it's delicious.
Everything is infused in-house, so we buy our syrup from the same place where everybody else buys their syrup for their pop, and the infusion is done in the lab. It's all canned here, labeled here, produced 100% on Tynaniga.
We have two lines of drinks. One's called our Nature's Nectar. That was our original line that we came out with. And then we also have a line under the Red E brand. We have them in 10 milligrams, 30 milligram, and 60 milligram cans.
What a great selection for a get-together with friends or after a long day. Remember, if you want to wet your whistle with on-site lab-tested products, come see your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
And welcome back to the Mushy Moment. We are here at paceradio.net and cbgtv.com, streaming all over the place: Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Roku, Fire Stick, we're everywhere. Pardon me. We have been sitting and having a chat with Steve Mather, who is usually my co-host, but today is my guest on the show. We have been doing a series on basically a family in addiction, starting with Katie and Jesse Mather in separate interviews, and of course chatting with their mom Marnie, and now we are chatting with their dad Steve. And we were just chatting about the first time he went down to the Surrey Strip and visited with them while they were living down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was, I had a few, I have to say that era of the addiction, I had a few, there was a few harsh moments happen for sure.
Yeah.
But happily, they're all in the past now. And my healing is unloading the emotional attachment to those moments. It was really weird through that period. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in that period that I find interesting, because I learn a lot about my girls that I don't actually know at that time. Like they're in addiction and they're on a harsh strip. And there's a lot of darkness, there's a lot of harshness on that strip. At this point in time, it's a pretty brutal strip. And I'm going there all the time. I'm working my gig, and then I finish at whatever time, 11, 12 o'clock at night. And then I'm driving down to the strip and I'm finding my girls. And then I'm hanging out for a few hours with them. I'm driving around, letting them sleep in my van for a little while. I'm making sure they're eating. I'm, picking up pizzas or picking up boxes of donuts and boxes of coffee from Tim Hortons. And I'm coming down, or I'm stopping, getting, a dozen chicken sandwiches from somewhere and sharing them. I'm letting people know that there's somebody there watching for the girls. And after a while, they start calling me dad. A lot of people start calling me dad down there. Dad's here. Where's the twins? Dad's here. But I saw they did things like when they started taping garbage bags to the posts there and telling people to start using the garbage bags, because there was people that would walk down the strip and some people would walk through with kids and stuff. And they started getting people to yell when kids would be coming through, kid, and then, you get in your tent. Don't be using drugs outside and clean your crap up. And then, I would take them stuff. I bought them a couple of tents, and I know that as I learned, a few of them got sold, but they also gave a couple away. They gave a couple away to people that were worse off than them, because they knew that I would get them another tent. And they gave away, some clothing that I would bring them. If they saw somebody that was worse off, they would give it away. It was heartwarming and heartbreaking. It's a weird dichotomy. It truly is. Then one day I'm showing up, and there's still on Facebook, there's still, even at this point, there's still chatter going on about the girls from the dog attack, etc. And they had a what do you call it, Instagram thing that was called Twins That Tote. And at one point they were, working in dispensaries, and they ran their little channel, and they were getting sponsored for stuff, and they were known as their little Twins That Tote thing. They were trying to build a brand. And of course, the news started to jump in and tear all of that and post stuff that had been posted up over the years, which is, moments of them, those little shorts where they're smoking bongs and stuff like that, and, being silly in those moments of the weed aspect. And there's still lots of this stuff circulating on Facebook. And I'm watching it, and I'm not fighting the trolls, but I'm still reading. I'm reading the comments, and I'm reading the questions, and people are asking, where the hell are these kids' parents? Where's their father? Where's their mother? It's like, hey, I was there doing what I could. She was doing what she could. I show up at one point, and Katie says to me, hey, Dad, I might be on the news next week. And I go, really? And in my head, all I can think is, really? And she says, yeah. There were some reporters here interviewing people on the strip, and they did a little segment with me. I might be in the news. And I go, that's nice. And I leave thinking, oh, God, please, no. Please, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I wake up, I don't know, a couple days later, to my news feed full. Everybody I know is sharing this video with me. And Katie actually ended up being the news story. She ended up being the first new face of fentanyl. And the video went viral. It currently gets used in a lot of training programs for people dealing with people in addiction. That video's in part of the training now. Eric, the person who did this story, I think did a really good job, and I thank him. He at least humanized her, and he changed the picture people had of addicts.
Yeah.
And he wrote it in a way that tugged a lot of heartstrings. And, you know, it was magic because somebody donated a lot of money for my girls to go to recovery, to a real recovery place. Like, well, I call it a real recovery place. It was, you know, I hope they don't mind. I love Westinghouse myself. I see what they do for people. You know, they've had some bad press, good press, but I've seen what they've done to help addicts, and even, you know, with my girls not being successful, they had success while they were there. Same with Katie with Charlford House. You know, they've got good programs that help people, and they work hard, and they do everything they can. They're in there, you know, they're trying, and the people there are proof it can be done. And you know, I salute them. And somebody paid for my girls to go there, and it was a lot of money. And I thank you, Mark. You gave me faith in humanity in a time when my heart was hurting pretty bad, and I didn't have much faith left in humanity. And you introduced some beautiful and amazing people into our lives. And, you know, Todd, I salute you. Caroline, I salute you. And Susan, all I have is thank yous. Even in their addiction, the lessons they learned in those moments of recovery are there. And I hear them and I see them constantly. And even though they can't seem to live in the mode of recovery, the lessons that they learned in recovery are part of the reason that they're still alive to this day. And those lessons that they learned in recovery, they still share with other people in addiction. And I watch them help other people in addiction find recovery, which again is just such a strange dichotomy to have to witness. It's, you know, I hang on to the faith that one day I'm going to be sharing, you know, we'll have them on and it'll be a story of their recovery and it'll be awesome. And you know, but I know it's possible. My grandson's father is in recovery. His new wife is in recovery. They're being successful. They're successfully. My grandson has a new sister, and you know, they're proving recovery is possible. It's, you know, you gotta work, you gotta want it, and you gotta believe you can do it. And through that belief is part of the pathway we're walking ourselves, which is healing our traumas. You know, both you and I are complex PTSD, and we're finding our pathway out of our traumas, you know, and hopefully leading others. I'm hoping that I'm showing my daughters that I'm trying to lead by example.
You are.
And I'm I'm hoping that we're all going to find success, and that hopefully I don't get that other phone call. But honestly, if it comes, I've already had the phone call. I've already been there, and I know I'm going to be okay, and I know they're going to be okay. So I can choose to dance in the fear, or I can choose to have faith that they're going to find their place. We're going to get the strength. We're going to have the right things fall into place, and that they're going to believe they can. And in mine, it's facing the trauma. What is facing the trauma? Well, the trauma isn't what happened to me. It's the triggers and behavior that it's caused me to react from. And my healing is finding those triggers and repairing those behaviors that the triggers cause. There's emotional attachment that cause dysfunctional behaviors. As I learn to repair those dysfunctional behaviors and unload those triggers that my trauma has caused, and whatever means and methods that I have to learn to take care of that, or plant medicines that I have to learn about to take care of that, whatever it is that helps me get out, I will share. And I know that dealing with trauma is part of getting out of addiction, and I'm hoping that I can teach people that there's ways to deal with the trauma and the addiction, and hopefully inspire people to want to heal.
Yeah. I mean, that is the ultimate goal, just to lead by example, and not necessarily show people the path, but yet show people the path, because we all have different paths. But
Yes.
to illuminate the fact that we can walk that healing path, no matter what it is for us, is pretty special.
And it's finding the tools. There's a lot of tools on the pathway. We walk our pathway alone, and there may be people walking beside us, but we're still inside us. And inside us, we're walking that pathway. We can have other people walking beside us, and each of them can see other things and give us other tools, and we can share all the tools. And it's finding the right tools that work for you, or the right words that work for how you need to hear something, so that you can process it properly for your healing. But some people get caught up in thinking that we're alone. And I find I'm only alone when my brain is chattering so much that I can't actually hear myself. And when I can shut my brain chatter off and hear myself, then I know who I am, and I know I'm okay. And I can let the fear go.
Yeah. You've been through a lot with your girls, and that's just with your girls. I mean, we haven't even really talked about Steve. But you've been through a lot with your girls, watching your girls, trying to help your girls. Let's say that you were given the opportunity to speak to a group of parents who are going through similar. Oh, you're me. And is there some advice? Are there some tools that you might be able to pass on words of hope or words of wisdom coming from somebody who's walked the walk and is still there trying to be there for his girls?
Yes. The biggest thing that I really took on that changed everything about where I sit in the chaos, because I learned I can't fix the chaos, and there's chaos all around me. There's chaos all around us all the time. And really, it's about finding your peace in the chaos. I was running. My daughters are going to overdose. They're going to die. They're going to overdose. They're going to die. They've overdosed. Oh my God, they're almost dead. Oh my God, if they overdose again, they're going to be dead. Oh my God, all these people have died. Oh my God, they're going to die. Yes, we're all going to die. Yes, we're all going to die. And they could step off the curb and get hit by a bus and they're dead. Am I going to worry every second because they're going to die? I can, and I was, and it was killing me. We're all going to die. And we need to be okay understanding that we're all going to die. Where I was able to find my peace in the chaos, because there's always the chaos. The peace comes from not looking at the avatar. The avatar, the body that they are, went through being that, it came out being this beautiful, they were these beautiful little babies. They grew into these beautiful little girls, and they were these cute little kids, and the avatar went through many variations. And they went from being honor roll students to drug addicts, to injured, hurt, traumatized drug addicts. If I look at the avatar, then I'm only looking at a moment of their lives and a moment of who they are. And I'm not seeing who they are. And in that moment that I'm looking at, there's a lot of pain and there's a lot of hurt. And I will hold myself in that pain and that hurt. But the minute I look at them as the little girls that were born in that hospital when they were born, the light, the love, the energy that was there born, that grew through all these avatars into this avatar, as soon as I let go of the avatar and look at the love and look at the energy, I can let go of every judgment and every condition I put on my love. And I can just love them freely for who they are, my daughters. And I can resonate and harmonize with some of their pain. I can empathize with it. I can be compassionate for them. And I can love them and not give any negativity towards it, because there's no reason for me to give any. There's enough there already. Why would I want to contribute to it? Just let go. Let go. You can't save them. They have to save themselves. Lead by example and fix the things in your world, in your 6 degrees of separation. Start learning to be better yourself. Start learning to be healthy yourself. Lead by example. Show them there's a better way.
That's good advice. It's good advice. Steve, I want to once again thank you for coming on and allowing yourself to be put under the spotlight. Thank you for telling your story. I know.
Thanks for because you kind of made this out. You kind of pushed to make it happen, and it's funny because it's like it's so convoluted and because it's a long and convoluted story, and it's thank you for allowing me the time and the space. I I already know it's valuable, but I won't really know till I watch it again and actually see what blah, blah, blah. But,
what you blah, blah, blah.
I have a feeling there's some stuff here that'll help other people, which is seriously why we want to even do these podcasts is to help other people that one, let you know you're not alone, and two, if you're struggling, if you're a parent out there that's struggling, I'm pretty findable. Cindy found me. You can find me. Reach out. As you can tell, I like to talk. So reach out, and we'll see if there's any resources I got that can help. There's resources Cindy has that can help. We have access to resources to help people, and sometimes we have magic words. I know we both have magic words that help each other, and hopefully we've got some magic words that help you guys too.
Yeah.
So, please, if you are struggling, if addiction, complex PTSD, you want to learn about microdosing, you got questions,
we're here.
We're here. Reach out, ask. Don't be afraid to ask.
One thing I've learned through this series of interviews that we've done, and then with you, is this is a family that has a lot of love in it. It's very easy to see as an outsider that these girls love their parents. I know Steve more so than I know Marnie. So that's really where I've seen, but they adore their folks. And from what I see, their dad, and you adore them. And like you say, you have unconditional love for them. Both you and Marnie searched the Strip for them at different times and went down there and have.
Oh, we went down there together, yeah.
Phones and tents and clothes, and you will always be there to pick up the phone when your girls call, no matter what part of this addiction road that they're on, and that's nothing but unconditional love, and it's. I'm sad to see why it's coming, but it's really beautiful to see the love. And I'm glad that through all of this that you and Marnie and your girls have found that.
It's been pretty awesome, because I've also realized how surrounded by love I am with my friends and how deeply they care. And I'm a pretty lucky guy that way. And we're a pretty lucky family. And I just want to thank all of them and all of you and everybody that supports our family through this time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that kind of takes us to the end of the show. It's been a long one. Thanks for joining us here on Mushie Moment. And we've been coming to you live from Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, paceradio.net, cbgtv.com, Boxcast on Roku, and Fire Stick. My name is Cindy Howell, and I have been hosting the show this evening solo with my most amazing and courageous guest, Mr. Steve Mather. He's laughing at me, but I love giving him compliments because he gets red. Thank you again, Steve, for coming on, and we will catch you all next time when I am joined again by my co-host once again, Mr. Steve Mather. Bye.
Thanks, Cindy. A pleasure.
Thanks.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partners 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's